4 live-action How to Train Your Dragon movies that can happen after the remake, with the live-action movie scheduled for release later this year. The How to Train Your Dragon franchise looks to be expanding. Originally debuting in 2010 as an animated DreamWorks movie, loosely based on Cressida Cowell's books, How to Train Your Dragon follows a young misfit Viking called Hiccup as he becomes a renowned dragon rider and expert, flying a night fury called Toothless. The 2010 film gained critical acclaim, spawning a movie trilogy, and even led to the creation of spin-off TV shows, games, and short films. The live-action How to Train Your Dragon is scheduled for release on June 13, 2025, and excitingly marks DreamWorks Animation's first remake and live-action production. Interestingly, the upcoming film already has a sequel in the works, despite not being released yet, sparking hope for the launch of a wider live-action series of How to Train Your Dragon projects. As a result, we pose 4 potential movies that could follow How to Train Your Dragon's remake, transforming them from their original animated format into reality. Although the movie has not yet been released, the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon is already getting a sequel. How to Train Your Dragon 2 was confirmed at CinemaCon, where it was revealed that it is scheduled to release in June 2027. Not much information has been released regarding the plot for the second film, but it is speculated to follow the 2014 animated version. Set 5 years after the events of the first movie, How to Train Your Dragon 2 follows 20-year-old Hiccup as he reunites with his long-lost mother while battling Drago Bloodfist, who wants to use a dragon army to conquer the world. The sequel exceeded the 2010 movie's box office, earning $621.5 million, and was praised for its darker tone. If the live-action version of How to Train Your Dragon 2 follows the same story, we could see a similar box office trend, which could launch plenty more future projects. Another potential live-action movie, which could follow in the wake of the How to Train Your Dragon remake, is DreamWorks' Dragons TV series. With 118 episodes in total, Dragons aired on Cartoon Network and Netflix between 2010 and 2018 under a variety of different subtitles. However, it is Dragons' premise and place in the timeline of How to Train Your Dragon's movies and TV shows, which make it a brilliant potential live-action follow-up movie. Set between How to Train Your Dragon and How to Train Your Dragon 2, DreamWorks Dragons follows Hiccup's struggles in maintaining the newfound cohabitation of Vikings and dragons on Berk. Alongside introducing the Dragon Training Academy, the show also dealt with new worlds, new dragons, and new enemies previously unseen in the movie. Therefore, Dragons is a pretty important TV show in terms of establishing How to Train Your Dragon's lore. And although it lacks a particularly strong narrative at times, a live-action adaptation could tweak the series into a spectacular movie. If we are getting a live-action remake of both How to Train Your Dragon and its sequel, it would make sense to bring the cast back for How to Train Your Dragon 3. The third and final movie in the animated trilogy series was released in 2019 and followed 21-year-old Hiccup seeking a dragon utopia called Hidden World, while dealing with the threat of dragon hunter Grimmel the Grizzly. The movie earned $540 million at the box office, and much like the previous films, also had a positive reception. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World marked a brilliant finale for the animated trilogy, with Toothless finally encountering a female light fury, and Hiccup settling down with Astrid. As a result of the decision to keep the dragon's home secret to keep them safe, despite the Berkians' attachment to their companions, How to Train Your Dragon 3 had an emotionally charged ending, especially considering audiences had grown up alongside the films. Considering a live-action sequel is already in the works, hopefully, Universal will follow through and develop a third film to bring the trilogy full circle. The most recent How to Train Your Dragon TV series was very different from previous iterations, and could potentially become a legacy sequel for the live-action movies. First released on Hulu and Peacock in 2021, DreamWorks Dragons. The Nine Realms is set 1,300 years after the Hidden World, following a group of scientists and their children who discover a secret world of dragons. The Nine Realms ran for 8 seasons in total, concluding in 2023. Despite DreamWorks Dragons, The Nine Realms having a different animation style and time period, the TV series served as a spin-off to explore what would happen should the Hidden World from How to Train Your Dragon 3 become unearthed in the future. While this story does pose a lot of interesting questions about the modern world, The Nine Realms would benefit from a later release. If DreamWorks' live-action franchise is successful, The Nine Realms would be a brilliant legacy sequel to the How to Train Your Dragon franchise.